Morning, guys. Today, Maya Angelou provides us another powerful thought that we should try to implement today, and that is always do your best. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard to apply. But if we can remember it and learn from Maya Angelou, we can have so much success, happiness in our life. And she talks about an example where, and somebody was interviewing her on when she wrote her book, Phenomenal Woman, and they asked her, do you write with a purpose um, to inspire people? And she simply said, no, I just write to do my best with the hopes that that will inspire people. So whatever you're doing today, look at your day, even the simplest thing, do it to the best of your ability because you have no idea the positive consequences that can come from it. So just do your best wherever you are today. Think of what you have to do. Have a great morning, everyone.
One of the unusual things that we do in the Kindle device business is we sell our hardware near break even. And so we make money when people use the device, not when they buy the device. And that is very aligning with customers. If I buy a device and I put it in my desk drawer and never use it, then Amazon doesn't deserve to make any money. Likewise, it causes us to have the right kinds of behaviors. So for example, if we're not making money when people buy the device, then we don't need people to be on the upgrade treadmill. We have people who are still using 5-year-old Kindle Ones, and we're perfectly happy about that. AWS is very similar because it's a pay-as-you-go service. We are not incented to get people to overbuy hardware, to operate at low utilization rates. Our point of view on this is if we can arrange things in such a way that our interests are aligned with our customers, then in the long term, that will work out really well for customers and it'll work out really well for Amazon.
If you want to go faster, make it easier for your customers to say yes. The amount of friction that people create for the customers you have to get so much money up front or so much done before they say yes. You're limiting your own growth because you're making it difficult for customers to say yes. Instead, bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. Bet that you can get them results and do the investment at the beginning, especially if it's time up front, so that you can start getting some clients. Like you could likely explode your business if you just did a little bit more free work for the right people. Free work for the right people. People say we'll never do free work. I don't think it's not a smart or fast way to be able to grow your business. Free work will help you grow your business. It has to be for the right ideal clients, and not everybody is going to take you up on it. Not everybody's going to hire you. Maybe somebody, but Evan, what if somebody takes my stuff and runs with it? Cool. Awesome. Next, you're moving on to the next person. If you have a great product or service and you help 10 people, you will get some people. Not all of them for sure, but you will get some people. So the amount of people who message me and say, hey Evan, I'd love to help you work on your thumbnails, or I'd love to come up with a video idea, or I'd love to X, like insert X that they want to work on. I'm swamped. You know, the best way to get somebody's attention is to give it to them. If you're a great thumbnail designer, the best thing you can do is go and work on 10 thumbnails and give it to them, and then offer to split test it for them. Like, make it easy. Think about the perspective of most of the people who you're talking to. So if you're trying to pitch me on thumbnail designs, right? I've got a business, we've had some success, we've got 37 people on the team, we're growing. Am I an ideal fit from a budget perspective? Maybe, right? I mean, I've got a growing business. It's not just a pure startup in my basement trying to figure things out, right? Am I a good fit from a values perspective? Maybe, if you've got similar values and you like the content. But here's what happens. If you say, hey Evan, I'm a talented thumbnail designer, here's my portfolio, take a look, I'd love to work on something with you. What you've just done is created more work for me. You've created more work for me in that I need to read your email, I need to look through your portfolio, I need to see if there's a fit somewhere in my company. You've created more work for me. And that is not going to help you get the job that you want, right? Do not create more work for your customers. Your job is to make their lives easier. Now, you might be saying, and you should be saying, but if we work together, I'll make your job easier, right? Like if Evan, if you hire me to do your thumbnails, your life will become easier because I'll make better thumbnails. Awesome. The problem is there's too much work up front to identify that. Because I've got a million things on my plate. I might be testing a lot of different thumbnail options as an example. And for me to screen you versus everybody else who might be pitching me the same thing, right? Your competitors are also messaging me. Your competitors are also messaging other people. For a potential client to screen people it's just too difficult. You're giving them work. Stop giving your customers work. After you get through the process and they've hired you, cool, now you're saving them time. But at the beginning, you're not saving them time, you're giving them more work. And this is a big thing that is slowing down the growth of your company. So let me share an example of how I've done it and how I've helped somebody else do it as well that hopefully can help you in just bringing it home. So I look at Drew, who is a YouTube consultant who I've trained, who I helped him build and scale his business, this is a guy who was working at General Electric. During COVID, he got furloughed, was looking for the next opportunity. And he had a little YouTube consulting business. And I really liked him just as a human. It's like, I love this guy. I love this guy so much. I want to find a way to help him. But it wasn't starting a business from scratch. So what I told him was, you know what? Here's what's going to happen, Drew. When I do businesses with people, we eventually scale it so that they earn 75% and I have 25% of the business. And I forget what the break points are. So it's like 50 up to the first 100,000, and then I scale my percentage back to 25% ongoing. So I said, this is how I usually run my deals. You already have a business. It's small, but we can grow it. I will work and mentor and coach you for free until we double your business. I want nothing. This is my pitch to him. I'm trying to help him. He probably would have been okay with anything, to be honest, because he likes the idea of opportunity and growth. But I wanted to bet on myself and create something that I felt was fair. So if I'm coming into his business and I'm taking 50% or 25% or whatever it is right out of the gate, it didn't feel fair, even though he probably would have said yes. So I said, I will work and mentor and coach you and introduce you to people. And until we double your business, I get zero. Once we've doubled your business, then I move to the lowest rate, which is 25%. And he said yes. I said, cool, awesome, great, like gut reaction, sleep on it, talk to your wife, we'll come back tomorrow and talk about it again. He said yes again the next day, and then we went to work. And it took, I don't know how long it took, a month, 2 months, 3 months. Like, it didn't take a long time to double his business, but he didn't know that going in, right? He didn't know that. So instead of just saying, I can help you do this, go help them do it. Just start doing it. Now with Drew, part of the outreach strategy, and this is what Jeremy used and Drew used, and any service-based business can use. When he's doing outreach, he's coming with values. Like, hey, I've got 3 ideas to help you grow your channel. I'll give them to you for free. I've got 3 ideas. This was an email strategy Jeremy used to go from being a minimum wage grocery store clerk to now upper mid 6 figures per year. It's what Drew used to go from being furloughed at GE to now having a mid 6-figure business for him as well. Is you email people, and he would find people who had a significant channel. They were making some mistakes, and he would offer value. Say, hey, I've got 3 ideas to grow your channel. I've got 3 big ideas that if you do this, will explode your channel. Do you want to talk about it? And he would hop on a call, and he would tell them the ideas for free. These are ideas that have made millions of dollars for people for free. And some people take the ideas and run and never hire them. And some people take the ideas and never do anything with them. And then some people end up hiring them. And that's okay. That's how you build a business. And the people who take the ideas and run with them, cool, let them do their thing. You're better than yourself, and you're better than them. And if they don't do anything with them, cool, they weren't ready. So it's not getting so caught up on, I gave free value to one person, they didn't hire me, their strategy doesn't work. No, you have to hit a bunch of people, because it could be timing, you just hit them at the wrong time, or it could be that they're just not the right fit for you. Value's different, cool. But you will get clients, and it's an incredibly fast way to be able to grow. There's too much friction for a lot of your business. Think about what has to happen right now for somebody to buy from you. What has to happen? And how much of your sales process is an actual sales process instead of a value process? People love buying, but they don't want to be sold to. So stop selling and reduce the amount of friction as much as possible out of the equation. Give stuff away for free. Show them what you can do. Bet on yourself. Are you good at what you do? Can you get results? Bet on yourself. The more you can reduce the friction, the more you can make it easier for customers to say yes. Guess what happens? Customers say yes. It's the fastest way to grow your business.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing so far today? Are you trying your best to be the best you can be in anything you're doing? Look at your day. It's not over. Go back at it again. Think about something that you consider perhaps a loss, or something that you know you could have did better at. Go back to the thinking that was involved in that. And now remember the 2 greatest tools you have always at your disposal: your belief in yourself and your determination. Your spirit of never giving up, getting back at it again if you have that opportunity again today, or thinking about the future when that opportunity may come back to you, and think about how you will respond differently this time. That is the spirit of always doing your best, even if you've experienced a loss or a failure. Never forget, you can learn from it. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
%50 of the population hates you because of your ideology.
You had to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur. So if you had to bet on who you think is going to win the election, who would you put money on?
Today's episode of Model to Masters is brought to you by TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is your best friend on your road to YouTube success. I use it every day on my channel to get more views and subscribers, automate the boring tasks, and split test my thumbnails and titles. I've done over 3,800 split tests, which have led to results like taking this 5-year-old video that was getting 250 views a day, and just by changing the thumbnail, it blew up to 15,000 views per day. You can get started on TubeBuddy for free at tubebuddy.com/Evan.
Believe Nation, welcome to the Kevin and Evan Show, where I sit down with Kevin O'Leary and we take your questions.
People are tough and mean in business. How do you manage not getting taken advantage of?
Why don't you answer that one first?
I think you're going to get taken advantage of. I think at some point, part of the process of being an entrepreneur is you will get taken advantage of. I think that is part of business, and you take your lumps and you learn along the way. I think though, every single time that happens, you just take the lesson and you say, hey, I maybe had an instinct, I maybe found something seemed a little bit off with that person. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna get better next time. But I don't think that you only have to be tough.
No, you don't have to be tough, but I think it's healthy to be a skeptic. I really do. I think being a skeptic makes you test your own assumptions and those of others around you. And always ask yourself, is this person telling me the truth, and can I validate it? Is there any way I can know with certainty that this is correct? And if you remain a skeptic until you prove it out. And the other thing, Evan, I look at is, what's the reputation of somebody? I mean, over time, you build your own brand if you're an entrepreneur. You start to realize that you work in a world of many other people interacting with you, and they make assumptions about you, and they learn more and more over time about who you are. You can't shortcut a reputation. You have to build it. And it takes a long time to build it up, and it's very easy to destroy. And the way you destroy it is you start lying to people.
I'll just trust people by default. Maybe that's not great.
Well, you must get screwed over a lot then.
I don't, though. I mean, I don't know. I don't get screwed over a ton. Maybe I haven't built up a big enough, brand or recognition where people are, stopping me every day on the street. But if I'm hiring somebody on my team, I'll just trust them by default, and they have to show me. Obviously, there's instincts, and like, do I like this person or not? But once they passed that, Evan thinks you're a good person test, then I just trust people by default, and it rarely, I don't know, it hasn't really come back to really screw over my business.
I've learned a different tact. What I do is I try and bring someone into a company or in my own group for 6 months on a trial basis to see if they interact with the team, and tell them honestly and transparently, look, we don't know if it's going to work. Why don't you come in as an intern? Why don't you check it out? How do you see how you feel? And then if we really gel, you stay on. There's nothing worse than bringing, a cancer into your body. That's the way I look at it. And you want somebody that's on board and can work with everybody else. And I like to hire very slowly and fire very quickly. And I tell that to all my CEOs.
And I think people gravitate of they might be too nice, and then one bad thing happens, so then they go and they say, well, now I'm going to be extra tough.
Yeah.
And then you build a different kind of culture, but that's not actually who you are. And then you try to, it's just finding that flow for who you are and the kind of business you want to build.
But you want to be with people that want to be with you, and everybody shares a common vision. And I think that's the new Entrepreneur 2.0, is making sure that A, you have a social mission that you care and you're all in sync with, and B, you have a profit motivation, because that's how you keep the business intact. And if anybody's not on board with your vision, your direction, they shouldn't be there, and they don't want to be there long term. So I look at it and say, are we all singing from the same song sheet? Let's test that every few months. Let's sit around and ask each other, is everybody happy? Who's unhappy? And just bring it out. I think listen, it sounds kumbaya, but it works.
So we've got 30 people on our team, and I think I'm toughest on the people who are actually closest to me.
Really?
Because they appreciate, because I know what they could be, and they need the push to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Like the people who you're mentoring to carry along the mission, the vision, and have leadership roles in your company. To actually be a good mentor, you have to be hard and push them and show them what they could become, because they might have a limited view of what their potential is. But somebody who's entry level, who messes up, I don't know, just have empathy.
I agree with you, but for me, it's 36 months. When you have been with an organization for 3 years, you are ingrained in its DNA, and you are expected to deliver, on your goals and be part of the team and work towards the common good and all of that. But you're in there. It's no longer you're an intern. You're part of the body, and I remind people that all the time. This is not the beginning anymore. We're in the middle of the journey here, and so you have to perform. And if you all of a sudden can't do that, that's tough. Because look, you can't keep everybody. People screw up, and it's one of the hardest things to do as an entrepreneur is to realize I have to take this person out of the game. You got to be fair to them, but you can't let one person taint the mission of the business. And that's the hardest thing of being the boss.
How do you turn your hobby into a business without growing bored or losing your passion?
I have a definition of what is a hobby and what is a business by saying, if you can't make money within 36 months, which is 3 years, which is a big number for me in business, it's just a hobby and it's not a business. If you're still losing money after 3 years, you should treat it for what it is, a use of your time that is not productive, but you enjoy it for other reasons. If you can't make it profitable after all that time, it is just a hobby. And if you're using all your time to spend on it, then you're not an entrepreneur. You're not creating something where you can create jobs and provide services to people. You're just wasting your time and wasting your money. Take it behind the barn and shoot it. That's my definition.
So I like to say, I'm pretty aligned. I like to say that if you've got something that you love doing but doesn't bring value to the market, then it's just a hobby. And it's great, it could be fulfilling, but it's not a business. But if you're just chasing opportunity and you don't love it, you're also going to lose because you're going up against people who love that thing. It's the big reason why I think a lot of entrepreneurs fail is they're going to start a YouTube channel, they're going to start a podcast, they're going to start a whatever business, but they never actually liked it. They just think it's the hot opportunity for the year.
Well, that is interesting.
And then they fail. I think a lot of people fail because they're not the right person. The opportunity is fantastic, but they never actually love the thing. Or if you look at the entrepreneurs who win, they have a deep love for the actual work that they're doing. And so it's that combination, right? If it's just an opportunity, you don't love it, you're not going to win. And if it's just something you love and there's no demand for it, then you've got a hobby. And it's in that marriage of what do you love doing that can also be of value to other people that are willing to pay you for.
You know, that's a really good observation because you're always competing with somebody somewhere, and these days it's global. And you got to make the assumption that the person you're competing with really loves what they do, and they're willing to work 25 hours a day. And if you're not totally in love with it, you're screwed. So I would argue to an entrepreneur, don't start something that you don't have a lot of passion for, because you're going to fail because you're going to be competing with people who do have that passion, who are motivated. And I see that happen all the time. They just get bored. And, you know, maybe I've invested in them and I can see that they're just burned out. And if that happens, you know, quite often I would say, probably about 30% of the time, after a while and they realize, boy, this is hard work. Yeah, it is hard work. Running a business is really hard work. But it's an added bonus if you can get up in the morning and say, I can't wait to go fight the fight. Because you know with certainty your competitor's doing that. So that is a theme that we can both agree on. You better love it, baby.
And you mentioned burnout in there. It's a topic now for a lot of YouTubers, feeling burnt out from creating content. And I think that's just, a lot of entrepreneurs face burnout. But if you love what you do, I think it's so much easier. I mean, I've been on YouTube for 11 years. We've done 6,000 public videos, 11,000 or so, you know, total videos. And I still wake up every day and we're doing it.
And that's amazing. I mean, you know, you think about it, you've turned yourself into a broadcast entity. That's really what it is. And content is king, and you have to keep it fresh and interesting and different all the time. I get that. But I have to admit, I'm a newbie onto YouTube, but it's a very powerful vehicle. That's what I've learned. And it draws a new demographic. I mean, I play on all of the social media platforms. I have millions of followers. But one thing I think you and I can agree on, it is a different channel in terms of what it provides and the demographic it achieves and reaches. And I get it. I totally get it now. I kind of ignored it for a few years, but now I can't. So it's become a real element to my weekly routine. I try and grab from experiences that I'm having during the week and put it onto my YouTube channel. And I'm brutally honest about it. And sometimes I stir the pot and it happens. What can you do? You know that already.
I love it.
What things should one learn by reading about our firsthand experience before becoming an entrepreneur? I mean, I think the question is, how do you prepare yourself to be an entrepreneur?
I think surrounding yourself with entrepreneurs is the easiest way. I think there's some you can learn. I think watching YouTube videos, being around Shark Tank, reading books like this, I think that starts to give you the framework. But I think the more you're actually around entrepreneurs, if that's what your goal is, to be an entrepreneur, be around the people who are doing the thing that you want to do. You know, I went to University of Toronto here and did 4 years undergrad, Bachelor of Commerce, Finance. I didn't know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur at the time. So I'm still grateful that I went. But I took a 4th year entrepreneurship course, and the professor teaching it barely had a side business on his own. It's like, well, who are you learning from, right? So if you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or, you know, get those degrees, then yeah, you need to be going to college and learn because that degree matters. But I don't think you can learn it from a textbook or learn it from a class. I think the best thing to do is to be around people who are doing it. If you have entrepreneurs in your family or there's a friend of yours, hang out at their shop just to see how they're doing it. And if you don't have that, then aspirational mentors is what I would call watching YouTube videos or reading books written ideally by the person, not just about them, but by the person sharing their lessons to have it be part of your ecosystem.
I've come to a new place in my understanding what works and doesn't. I also went through the educational process. I did an MBA, and people ask me, does that have anything to do with success or failure? And I say, no, it doesn't. I don't remember a single thing I learned there for the 2 years except the people I met. that now are out there in the world as bankers and lawyers and whatever else they are, and I use them as my database of contacts to help build my businesses. So I think that was important, but the classes, I forget completely what it was about. I will say one thing though, I've learned something from what the Europeans do, Evan, and listen to this. In Switzerland, I have a stepfather who's Swiss, he lives in Geneva, Switzerland. I've been going over there for 40 years, back and forth. Take a company like Nestle. They offer an internship program that they call an apprentice program over there. It's almost like the sorcerer's helper in a Disney movie. In high school, if you think you like the food industry, maybe, Nestle's a global food company, they'll let you come in and work on weekends and afternoons after school to see what it's like in the real world, even though you're just a teenager. Why are they doing that? They're trying to figure out who is going to be the next asset for their company that is going to be someone who attaches themselves to the business maybe long term. So they get to try you out, you get to try them out, they pay you a small stipend, but that's an apprenticeship. What an opportunity for you. You're a teen, you're sitting in a meeting with a bunch of managers, you're absorbing all that stuff, and you're learning. Why the hell don't we do that in North America? Because maybe 1 out of 10 is the right person, but once you're indoctrinated, if that's the right word, into the, call it the Nestle program, you're a Nestleite. You're there. They want you, you want them, and away your career goes. I love it. I think every company in North America should take that program on and offer this opportunity to kids in their teens and say, look, you want to see what work is? You want to see what it's like? Get in here. But it also gives you a chance as an entrepreneur to say, I understand the corporate structure and now I want to try something a little different on my own, but I will have had that base of information, not only about what it's like, but that sector. If you love the food industry, you're with the El Supremo and you're learning about it. And then one day you can split off and say, hey, Nestle, I'm going to build this food business. You want to buy from me after it gets to 50 million? That's the program I like.
This question is like, how do I prepare for my first kiss?
Right.
And you can watch videos and you can read a book.
I agree with you.
But at some point, you just got to kiss and then you feel what it's actually like.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's how you prepare for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I also would say, tell me if you agree with this. I don't think everybody should be an entrepreneur. I actually think only a third of the people can handle what it takes because it is a really hard gig. People try to make it exciting. Running a business is a bitch. It's hard as hell. And not everybody wants to sacrifice the lifestyle requirement to do it. You're giving up a lot. I mean, you're not going to hit all those soccer games on the weekend. You're not going to go to the family picnic. You're going to miss a lot of stuff in your young kids' lives because you're just working, because your competitor's working that way. I think it's a sacrifice.
I think everybody should try. I think it's worth knowing. Like, I think, how do you know if you like
What
sushi?
age do you recommend they try?
As soon as possible. Like, I think getting exposure is great.
Good evening, guys. How did it go today? Were you able to do your best? If you were, that's a victory, no matter what, even if you didn't get the win that you were looking for. I want to share with you a personal story. One of my greatest challenges, and I think it's a challenge for all of us, is to really seek to understand the other person that I'm trying to help and do my best with. And I want to share an example with my relationship with my wife. The other day, as you know, I'm excited and I try to apply the things that I'm trying to talk about and learn about every day. And so I asked my wife at the end of the night when we were exhausted and ready to go to bed, I said, honey, what's one thing you love about yourself? So thinking that, okay, we can create some conversation. We haven't really spent much time together. It's so busy. And she just turned to me and said, that's not what I want to talk about now. And then it reminded me, I thought, okay, I got to get into what is going on in the other person's heart and mind, not just my own. So let's learn from that. Have a great evening, everyone.
Step number 1, have a goal. Make it specific. Make sure you know the rules of the game you're playing. Make sure you know what a win looks like. In fact, that may be the most important question that you could ask yourself. The most pointed thing that you could determine in your life is to know, what does it look like to win? Once you know what it looks like to win, then you can work backwards. Then you can figure out what you need to do to score. Then you can figure out the skills that you're going to need in order to get great, in order to go out and dominate, in order to be better than anyone that has ever come before you. But to do that, you've got to know what your goal is. And once you have that, as Dale Carnegie said, if you want to conquer fear, don't sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. So now you have your goal. Now you're telling people what you're going to do. Now you're telling yourself who you're going to become. You're building something up inside of you, but are you actually taking the action? Are you actually getting out and doing something about it? And it is terrifying to me how people can pacify themselves with a sense of accomplishment simply by having a goal, simply by telling people that they're going to do something, simply by fantasizing about what they're going to accomplish. And let me tell you right now, the thing that separates the people who dream from the people who execute is a willingness to act. And at the end of the day, nothing is going to stop you. Not fear, not inability, not inadequacy. The only thing that will stop you is failing to start. Failing to start is your mortal enemy. You've got to find a way to get yourself going. You've got to find a way to take that desire, that interest in you, and turn it into a raging inferno, something that's going to get you moving and going ahead, that will trample everything in its path. Once you're able to do that, nothing, and I mean nothing, will be able to stop you.
Need motivation? Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Tom Bilyeu, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, connect to your purpose.
Once you accept that the thing that separates you from the rest of the animal kingdom is an unimaginable ability to become. You have an unimaginable ability to become something. In 2014, private companies averaged 8% annual growth. After I went into my partners and I said I quit, and I'm gonna go do something that makes me feel alive, they were totally shocked. And I got all the way to my house, and I was on the phone with my wife. I did it. I had been unhappy for so long. And I said I did it. I told them I quit, I gave back the equity, here I am, and I'm pulling into the driveway at my house, and my phone rings, and it's my partners. And they say, come out to dinner with us. Out of respect and love, I went out to dinner with them, and they said the now famous words, we could do this without you, but we don't want to. And that gave me what I needed to connect to something other than money. It reminded me of the brotherhood. It reminded me that I'd fallen in love with these guys as human beings, that there was something more than money. There was something more than being a clever marketer. That I remembered for a second who I am, the things that make me unique, that I have a desire to connect, that I actually enjoy communities, that I'm not a guy with a killer instinct. I'm not interested in stepping on my competitors' necks. That's just not how I'm wired. I'm wired to build something. I'm wired to see people shine. I love seeing other people win. I think it's incredible. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want to win. I want to win at the absolute highest level. I want to be the greatest of all time. I want more people to write about me going to Mars because they're terrified to try to match my intros. I want that, right? And I hope each and every one of you wants to play at that level. I hope each and every one of you looks at the greatest of all time and says, if I'm willing to break myself and have to get there, I could do it. But being honest with who you are, being honest that if there's something else that you want to bring to the table, that you find a way to do that. And so I said, guys, I will come back and work with you on one condition. I will never prioritize money again. My highest value in business is camaraderie. And at the time, that was sacrilege. We had made a pact with each, there was 3 of us. The 3 of us had made an actual pact that we would do whatever it took to make our technology company more profitable. And if that meant skipping a family vacation, if that meant waking up at 2 a.m. on a Saturday to meet and brainstorm, we did it. Both of those stories are real. We did things like that. I would go away with my wife for Christmas to see her family in London, and I would literally take a camera with me so I could watch the company back in LA. I've never switched off. I didn't take days off. I was working. No matter where I was working 7 days a week. I didn't take a real vacation, meaning that I wasn't actually working while we were on it for 6.5 years.
Rule number 3, overcome a fixed mindset.
Here is the reality. No matter how successful the person is that you're looking at and wishing you could be like them and thinking that they have everything all figured out, the one thing that I can promise you is that all of us struggle on the inside. That is just a reality of the human condition. Once you understand that that is a reality, that that's just part of the human condition, then you can begin to ideally let yourself off the hook and then not spending a lot of time stuck there. But to give you a specific example from my life, the biggest one, the most harrowing one that I went through was in film school. So, to cut a very long story short, I went to film school, believed that I had innate talent. I went into film school with a fixed mindset. I did very well at the beginning in film school, and that all to me felt like it was proof that I was right, that I was naturally gifted, that I was a born storyteller, and that I was going to go and have an illustrious career. And I actually went through a fascinating period in film school where I was both terrified that secretly I wasn't good enough, but at the same time actually believed that I was naturally gifted and this is what I was meant to do. And every bit of feedback that I got in either direction was, it made me believe the core of my being was true. So when I would do something poorly, I would think, see, that part of me that was convinced that I actually don't have talent, you were right. And then I would do something well, part of me that believed that was like, see, I knew you were born for this. And it all came crashing down as I worked my way up the ranks at USC Film School. Only 4 people are chosen to direct what's known as the senior thesis film, or 480. And I was one of the 4 people picked. And I was like, see, I knew it, man. I'm born for this. But of course, I got picked to do one of the senior thesis films. That just makes sense. I'm that good. And I thought, okay, cool. The thing that makes the thesis film so important is the film school pays your budget to make this film. So at a time where there's no YouTube, there's no iPhone, like filming is an expensive endeavor. Here you've got somebody that's paying for it, and that becomes your calling card to the industry. So George Lucas famously made one of these films, and obviously we know how his career ended up working out. And they showed us the 480, by the way, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And so you could see that here was this gift filmmaker. And so I have that in my head. Like, look at George Lucas's films, absolutely brilliant. He's gone on to have this brilliant career. I'm going to make an equally brilliant film, maybe a little more brilliant. And then I'm going to go become the next Lucas or the next Spielberg, and I'm going to take that film and get my three-picture deal. And I proceeded to run smack bang into one immutable truth. And that was that I wasn't a talented filmmaker. And I don't say that to be humble. I say that out of truth because I didn't have the skill set to make a good film. Once the level of complexity had gone beyond a certain level, so I'd arrived in these really short, really simple films. And then once you're talking actors and dialogue and the things that would come close to what we would recognize as a normal film, I had no idea what I was doing. And try as I might, I couldn't figure out how to make a film come out well. And it didn't come out well. And I was mortified, and I was embarrassed, and I never wanted anybody to see that film. And I was really and truly devastated. So I want you to imagine your whole life. So what I graduated at like 22. So from 12 to 22, all I knew was I wanted to be a filmmaker, and my whole life was moving towards that, and it looked like I had the natural gift. And of course, if you're going to be an artist, you're either born with it or you're not, right? That's all anybody said. I can't express enough. In the 80s and 90s when I grew up, when people talk about art, you either had it or you didn't, and that was that. There was no sense of growth mindset. Growth had not written the book yet, and so it wasn't even like I knew there was a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. I just knew you're either born with it or you're not. The great news was I was born with it. Here we go. It's going to be amazing, and then boom, I can't do it. And I realized, oh my God, I wasn't born with anything. I don't know how to do this. There is a tremendous amount of process to this art, and I don't know that at all. But of course, as I'm in the middle of it, I just think my world has come crashing down. I'm not gifted. I will never be gifted, and therefore I will never be a filmmaker. I will never make anything of myself. And just it was a downward spiral of epic proportions. And at the height of that, I would go home from my dead-end job, and I would lay face down on the carpet because I couldn't afford furniture, and literally just sit there. I can still feel that cheap nylon carpet and the way that it felt on my face as I lay there thinking, well, my life is effectively over. Certainly my life that was working towards a dream is over. And now it's just about finding a way to be the smartest person in the room. And if that means that I have to go and work a dead-end job to be the smartest person in the room, then that's what I'll do. And so I used to go and interview for jobs having nothing to do with film because I felt totally broken. And my goal was to, at some point in the interview, have the interviewer say, "You're so smart. Why are you interviewing for this role?" And because I had a fixed mindset and I so needed that praise from the outside, I was putting myself in these super weird and useless positions just to get that little nugget of, oh my God, like, you're so smart. And I had to put myself in sort of worse and worse company to get to that point. And finally, and I don't remember what it was that led me to this idea of brain plasticity. But somewhere in the depths of my despair, I realized, can we get better? Maybe we can. And so I started reading about the brain. And that started to plant seeds in my mind that maybe brain plasticity was real. And maybe I could get better. And just because I wasn't film today, maybe I could get better at film down the road. And I ended up getting a job teaching film because remember, those that can do, those that can't teach. So I felt like, okay, well, I can teach this even if I can't do it. And then so between reading about the brain, realizing, wait a second, if I work at this thing, I actually get better. My brain actually changes, and I become better at something. And given, having gone through however many years of schooling I'd been through, I started thinking about, like, wait a second, you would come into any class. And the funny thing is, as a kid, I remember every grade just being absolutely terrified that, well, I did okay in fourth grade, but Mom, I'm going to get devastated as a fifth grader. I don't know what I'm doing. And no matter how many times my mom would console me and say, remember, they're going to teach you how to learn the things that a fifth grader needs to know. They don't expect you to already know. It just wouldn't sink in. And so I was sort of back in that moment of, I don't know how to do this. But maybe my mom is right. Maybe the neuroscience is right. Maybe I can learn to become that thing I want to become. I start teaching film. And as I'm teaching it, I realized, wait, I'm helping my students become better filmmakers. So if I can help them become better filmmakers, and brain plasticity is really true, then I could get better as a filmmaker myself. And that realization changed the rest of my life. And this is why I am so obsessed with the idea of a growth mindset and brain plasticity, because the biology backs it up. And once you understand, it's what I call the only belief that matters. The only belief that matters is that if you put time and energy into getting better at something, you'll actually get better. Number 4, have clarity. Have very